Welcome back to the Can't Kick the Habit podcast. In this week's episode, or rather this Wednesday's episode, I'll be going over my week 5 predictions in the NFL. Last week, I picked some upsets, and they did not pan out at all. I went 8 for 8, so not a great week. Overall, I'm 34 and 29. So these picks, they're just a crapshoot. You just never know. So, all right. The Thursday night game will be the Indianapolis Colts versus my Denver Broncos. And I know the Broncos lost. Oh, I know the Broncos lost last week, but the offense was moving the ball, scoring points. Big Ross coming in with some big throws, some big drives. And I think the Colts have no idea what is happening. I mean, they're 1-2-1. Their 2 losses have been bad. Their tie was bad. Their one win was against the Chiefs, so that's like I don't even know what to make of that. So I'm taking the Broncos. I think Hackett is figuring out the offense, and that defense had a good first 3 games and then fell off last week. But I think they're starting to put it together a little bit. So I'm taking the Broncos over the Colts. The Giants versus the Packers. The entire Giants offense is Saquon Barkley. I mean, that's it. And the Packers have a good defense. So I'm picking the Packers. And Aaron Rodgers versus Daniel Jones. I mean, you can't bet against Rodgers. He always has a terrible week 1, or for the past 2 years, he's had a bad week 1, and then he just turns it right back around. So I'm picking the Packers. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Buffalo Bills. Mitchell Trubisky has looked awful, and they put in Kenny Pickett last week because Mike Tomlin said he wanted a spark, but he said the quarterback position is still being battled out between Trubisky and Pickett. So I don't know who they're going to start this week, but the Bills are coming off a tough loss and a tough win, and I think they're just overall a better team, position by position. You just go through it, they have better players than the Steelers. So I'm going to pick the Buffalo Bills to take this one. Again, I don't know who's going to play quarterback for the Steelers. If it's Trubisky, it's going to be below average play, and if it's Pickett, you got some rookie rust there. So I think either way you slice it, the Bills are going to win this game. The Chargers versus the Browns. The battle of the 2-2 teams. Jacoby Brissett has looked good these weeks, but the Browns just they're losing close games. And on the other side, the Chargers are losing close games as well. They can't pull out the 1-score victories, and they gave up 24 points to the Texans last week, which is not great considering the Texans are not good. So really, these are both teams that have something to prove. But last week I chose a lot of upset picks. It did not work. So this week I'm trying to go based on odds, and I'm just going to pick the Chargers. I think they have a better quarterback. They have better offense. They have a better defense. So overall, I think they're just a better team. The Chicago Bears versus the Vikings. The thing with the Bears, here's the thing. They're trying to reinvent the wheel by not throwing. They're trying to go back like 80s Bears, where they just give the ball off to their running backs, and the running backs just run down the field. And that's their entire offense. Like, Justin Fields he threw 20 passes last week and had like a 50% completion rate. So that's horrible. And the offense has looked abysmal, and the defense has looked okay. That's probably the only reason they're 2-2 is because I don't even know how they're 2-2, but yeah. And then the Minnesota Vikings, coming off a crazy game in London. That game was fun to watch, just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Kirk Cousins is off to his best start in his NFL career, starting 3-1. I mean, you look at it, the Vikings have way better players than the Bears do. Darnell Mooney hasn't done anything for the Bears. Really, the passing game for the Bears is non-existent. The running game, David Montgomery is doing little to good. I think the Vikings have just such a better team than the Bears. I think the Bears got their one win against the Niners. That was kind of their one upset win, I guess you could say. And I think they're going nowhere this season. I'm taking the Vikings. The Detroit Lions and the Patriots. We'll battle the 1-3 teams. We'll see if Mac Jones plays. I'm gonna look it up right now. If he's his injury status. The Patriots believe he can play this Sunday. I mean, the Lions have the highest scoring offense in the NFL right now, which is crazy because they're 1-3. They also have the number one scoring offense and the last scoring defense in terms of giving up points. And the Patriots, they don't play the new wave of football, you'd say. They don't bomb footballs, and they play short, they play scrappy football. And they play with the run game. Mac Jones, this is a Tom Brady, I guess you call it the Bill Belichick Tom Brady system, where a lot of screenplays, a lot of runs, not really. Mac Jones is not a very mobile quarterback, so he's a pocket passer, so they don't score as many points. And I think if the Lions can score points, they'll win this game. But don't underestimate Bill Belichick and the Patriots. But I'm going to take the Lions. I still think they're a playoff team. It's just, can they turn these points into wins and get it rolling a little bit? So I'm taking the Lions over the Patriots. The Seattle Seahawks and the New Orleans Saints. Two teams I don't really know much about, besides Jameis Winston being I don't know why people still give him chances, because he's not a good quarterback. He's also injured right now. He's been out of practice all week. So he's questionable going into this week. Andy Dalton, on the other hand, he looked solid last week. And Geno Smith was NFC Offensive Player of the Week last week against that crazy 90-point game against the Lions. Both teams scored like 45-ish points, but I'm taking. It's just so tough. I mean, it's the battle of the backup quarterbacks, and which quarterback is going to prevail. I'm going to take the Saints if Andy Dalton plays. If Winston plays, I'm taking the Seahawks, but who knows if he'll play. So I'll take Andy Dalton and the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, over the Seahawks. The Miami Dolphins versus the New York Jets. Tua is out for this game, so that means Teddy Bridgewater will play. I picked the Jets last week over the Steelers, and they got the win. So that was like my one upset pick of the week. But this game, I think I'm taking the Dolphins. The Jets looked rough the first half of last week's game, and then I started to pick it up. But against a team like the Dolphins, who have a veteran quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater, and they have a good defense, I think it's hard. The Steelers are not a good team. It's easier to come back against a bad team than a good team, obviously. So I'm taking the Dolphins. I think the Jets are probably going to have this problem with Zach Wilson of starting out hot. He's only a year two quarterback, so I'm taking the Dolphins over the Jets. The Falcons, Bucks. I'm taking the Bucks. Nothing else needs to be said with that game. Titans, Commanders. I picked the Commanders last week over the Cowboys. Bad decision. Cowboys have a good defense. The Commanders did not prevail. They lost. I'm not taking that train again. They are not good. I'm taking the Titans. I picked the Titans last week, and they beat the Colts. So I'm taking the Titans. Texans and Jaguars. I think this will be a closer game than people think, but the Jaguars have looked really good. They're 2-2, but the way Doug Peterson is leading that franchise, it's a new path, a new wave. I'm taking the Jaguars over the Texans. Davis Mills is not the franchise quarterback. I'm sorry to say it, but he's not. They're the only winless team. Uh, I mean, they're trying to develop their young players and build that chemistry. The Texans are, and through in the next few years, those guys are going to move up, and Davis Mills is going to be traded or cut. One of the two. He's not the guy. And they're going to replace him with some veteran quarterback or draft like C.J. Stroud or something like that, or the guy from Alabama. I forget his name. But yeah, I'm taking the Jaguars. The 49ers and the Panthers. Baker Mayfield and that offense has looked so bad. Matt Rule's gone after this year. I think Baker's gone after this year. He might even be traded midseason. He's not looked good at all. And the Niners, they got the upset win over the Rams. I think Shanahan's like 7-0 against Sean McVay, which is crazy against the Rams and Sean McVay. But I think they have a system in place. They know what they're going to do. The Panthers have zero clue. They have no idea who they are. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, he's staying healthy, but he's just not performing at that peak McCaffrey yet. So I'm taking the 49ers. They have weapons, and they're going to win. The Cowboys and the Rams coming off a depressing loss. The Cowboys coming off an impressive win. I mean, there's only so much you can say for an impressive win against the Commanders, but still, it's pretty impressive with Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush has looked amazing. I know I said last week he's a backup quarterback and he's about to fall off, but yeah, I was wrong. I'm going to ride the Cowboys train until they start losing games from now on. So I'm picking the Cowboys. It's the upset pick against the Rams, but I think Stafford's got to spread. He's got to spread the ball around. I mean, you got Allen Robinson, who's a B tier wide receiver, and they don't use him. And he's got all these guys that, I mean, Cooper Kupp, A tier wide receiver. Don't get me wrong, he's amazing, but I mean, they're 2-2, and there's only so much you can say. There's no run game. He just forces the ball to Cooper Kupp. That's why they score points, but they got to figure something out in Los Angeles because they do not look like the Super Bowl winning team we saw last year. Stafford looked worse and worse and worse. So I'm taking the Cowboys until I'm proven wrong. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Cardinals. The Eagles are 4-0. The Cardinals are 2-2. Two good quarterbacks, two mobile quarterbacks. But I think the Eagles have a better offense than the Cardinals do, and they're overall a better team. It's a battle of the birds, but I'm taking the Eagles until I'm proven wrong. Once they lose a game, I'll pick against them. But right now, I'm riding the train until they lose, so I'm picking the Eagles. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens, two great teams, two teams that always put up a fight. They're both 2-2. Lamar Jackson is carrying that team so hard right now. Jim Harbaugh, terrible decision last week to go for it on 4th and goal from the 3-yard line. It was a terrible play. I mean, you got Jackson making a run pass option. He went with the analytics, and with the game on the line, I just don't think you go with the analytics. You go with how you're feeling, how the game is moving, because the analytics are based on past games and past events. You only know this game and this moment and this time, so you got to make that decision from your gut, not from a spreadsheet. Anybody can make a decision from a spreadsheet, but good coaches make that decision with how they think the game is going. And at that moment, they hadn't scored any second quarter points. Go up by 3, take the lead with a few minutes to go, and put on your defense to limit the Buffalo Bills. Instead, you don't get it. They still have to drive 90 plus yards, but it's just rough. So I'm taking the Bengals. I think the Ravens will ride that low for a little while until they start picking it back up again. So I'm taking the Bengals. The Monday night game, Raiders and Chiefs. The Raiders coming off a win against the Broncos. It's very sad. Chiefs also coming off a very impressive win against the Bucks. Um, the Raiders are 1-3. They talked about how it's tough to make the playoffs as a 1-3 team. It's going to be even tougher making the playoffs as a 1-4 team. They're not going to get this win. There's no way, absolutely no way, the Raiders win this game. Chiefs should have it on lockdown. They've looked amazing, even without Tyreek Hill, even though they miss him a little bit. But I'm taking the Chiefs Monday night. So those are my picks. If you have any objections to my picks, leave them in the comments below. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Follow me on Spotify. Yeah. I'll be sure to pump out more content for you guys going forward. So, see ya. Take care.